Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the remote habitual past in Tuscarora. So this generally roughly corresponds to used to as as is written in the title here. So this is generally marked with the suffix "ahk," and "ahk" attaches on to the general serial form. So, or I should say the base. I think the base serial form would be better to say. So this attaches onto the base serial form of whatever. So rather whether it's in the case that this is a in the case that the stem uses a s as the serial or habitual, then whenever you do s and ak, then you're gonna put an h sound after the s. So instead of it being sock, it'll be s+ahk. So the s will go to s+ahk if it precedes this suffix. So there are definitely there are it's pretty straightforward how you could say this, and it's just generally there's not like a whole lot of different rules about it, so you can just you can just you can just use it. So if you want to say something like I used to, so I wanted to look for some of my own examples or some words on my own so I could practice this outside of what the author used in her book on the grammar. So I found this one. Anhi. So anhi means to ignore. And something you could say something like, I mean, that means ignore, but we also have another one that I found. So this one can be ihra or ihra. Ihra. Ihra is ihra is to fry. And then there's nurek, nurekwa, or nurek. Pretty sure it's nurekwa. Nurekwa, which means to love and also to think highly of. And then there's also another one that I thought was a little bit more useful. So hura and hura. So we have a hura tia tianet. So yeah, and who yeah hura tianet. This means to be unhealthy. Anhura, yeah, anhu, anhura tianet. So these are examples we can use for this instead of the same ones we've been using. We can use the same ones because I have some verbs loaded in case you want to practice with those. You can. But just remember that if you're going to, because this builds on the serial form or the habitual form, if you want to use this in practicing those, just remember that any of the rules that apply to the serial are going to apply to this as well. This is just something. This is more or less just something that you add on. In any other case, whenever the serial's not a S sound, then that is when you would use that. So we'll go ahead and do something. So if you want to say something like I used to fry, maybe you used to fry and then but you do something else now. Or maybe you used to be the person who fried burgers at the family events. Now you don't. So kehraus means I fry, right? I fry if you fry regularly, right? Say like you make burgers for yourself every Friday after you get off work. Then you could say kehraus. So kehraus into the S. So if you can't do ak, you have to put that H in front of the ak, in front of the particle. So kehrausok. I used to fry. And then kehraus is I fry. Say I used to fry. And you can of course add anything else on this. Like if you want to do sehrau, sok. You used to fry. You could do ra. You could do ra for he. There's any you can use anything. And then we also can say love. So with nurakwa. With nurakwa, because this is a root that uses the ha. You have to put the H before the W. That's one of the sounds. So then it becomes nurakwa, and then you would just in this case you would just add, because it already ends in a ah. You could just add ak, and then you can put whatever your ending is. So you want to say they used to like, you could say like kaya. They used to, or you might be telling somebody that you used to like doing something, and that would be karuna kwak, karu kwak. Used to blah blah blah. Used to like. Used to love blah blah blah. And then the other one that I have is to be unhealthy. Put this. So you have this one, and then you would just do your hawk. Just put your hawk at the end, and then you put your subjects right there. Just in the basic form. So, in the simplest form that you can put it in. Like you could say, something like, you could say something like, conhuretia. Conhurentian. Conhurentiane. Conhurentiane hawk. Say something like Hane. I think this one's the guy. I think this one, not sure. This one's stressed. You could say Karuntiak. So ahane is but, and ane, and then ane, and then ane, ane iska, ane iska, iska. So this is I was unhealthy, but now I don't smoke. So now that's what I'm trying to say here. So I wanted to make a full sentence because I found this verb and I was like, oh well, we have smoke, so that's a really good sentence. So kanhure tiane, kanhure tiane hak, ahane ahane ane iska ka katsiar ho. So you could say katsiar ho, but I don't smoke. So in this case, you would just say katsiar ha. So because you don't do it. But there is s+ha. So iska katsiarhos. Okay, so this means I used to be unhealthy, but now I don't smoke. Okay, I just wanted to make a full sentence with this. So there's that. And that's pretty much the gist of how this works. The future habitual, or sorry, not the future habitual. Sorry, the remote habitual past. So the remote past, how it's used in expressing something that's on that is that was ongoing or kept going on, but no longer occurs, something like that. So we have that, but yeah, this should be helpful. Like I said, I have a few random verbs here, as well as those other verbs in that other sheet. You could probably just search verbs in the content library, and the stuff will come up. But here are some other examples. There's some. If you've been following along with the serial, then you know the basic construction, how you might do that. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful to everyone, and I hope to catch everybody in the next one. If you have any questions about this, let me know. If you're also looking for tutoring or language coaching sessions for any language, just let me know. I've studied a wide range of them, so I can help with whatever your needs are. If you're a heritage speaker looking to reclaim your language, or a group of people, or even some conlangers who want to bring something back, I can come up with a plan and help you navigate within my website to help you learn and implement your language. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.